even before we came into this world, in the Alamul Arwah, we were asked by Allah, am I not your Lord? Alastu bi Rabbikum? And we answered, Qalu Bala, yes we are. You are our Lord. So coming into this world, you know, in the Quran tells us, Fa'lamu annahu la ilaha illahu. Fa'lamu, we must know. And we've been created to know our God. This is a few words on the importance of the subject. Inshallah ta'ala, you may proceed now.
Shukran, Imam Hussein. We appreciate those words. I just want to, as a completely aside thing, say, I thought as a young man, I had a very busy mind. I had what you call an inquiring mind. I never stopped asking questions, and even now I am like that. I thought that I believed correctly. I thought that I understood my Tawhid correctly. It was only until recently that I put my hands, I couldn't believe that I was so wrong in the way I believed. I thought I was correct in my belief. It's only when I started attaching myself to our Mursid Sheikh Hazim, Hafidullah, that I corrected some of my misunderstandings, and I realized how many people, they are sincere. Nobody is questioning their sincerity, but their belief system is not correct. I was one of those until not so long ago, and that's one of the reasons that I've made an effort to take some of the things that I have come across and to try and pass on whatever I have come across in my own life. So inshallah, we're going to go on to where we left off. Farid, I'm just passing on to you. I only see now I actually do this. It's so easy once you get to know the system that I have allowed you to actually record the session, both the audio as well as the video. And if there's anyone else who wish for me to do that, then they can just yes, inshallah. Now we left off last week, or on the last session, on the sifat of Qudra, power, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all powerful. Now, it's important for us to just look at the last slide that we shared last time. Is the slide up there on your screens? Now, the point to make out of the slide before we go on, when we say power, power is the ability to make things happen. In the absence of that power, nothing can happen. It needs that power. Now, yes, all the power comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but often we don't realize what we are talking about when we say the power comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The power, now some of these things are covered in the book, the book 6 of the Big Bang and how Allah created the universe. Now, I'm not going to go into detail except to say that scientists have discovered that all the power in the universe started at one point. And it was that point at which Allah created the universe. That power, no matter what we do with the power, never ever gets less. Think of what I'm saying now. Every bit of power, our bodies need power and energy. We make fires, there's power stations, there's everything around us, and nothing can operate without power, but yet the power doesn't get less. And this is what scientists have said. They call it the law of thermodynamics. I forgot to write it up here. Thermodynamics. The law of thermodynamics states that power in the universe never increases, it never gets more, and it never gets less. Now, don't we think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is marvelous, is great? So when we say Allahu Akbar, it should have a new meaning. That's how Allah created power. We can't create power. That power comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. It's untouchable. You can't make it less and you can't make it more. You have to make do with what there is, and that power remains the same from the beginning of time till the end of time. And I'm not making a statement that's based on guesswork here. I'm talking about scientific facts. I'm not going to go into the other aspects. People who are interested about this sifat and some of the scientific aspects around this can go to book 6, the one that speaks about the Big Bang. I cover it in a bit more detail there. Now, I suppose it doesn't require a rocket scientist to make the statement that all the power comes from Allah. But if we take the fact of what was said earlier, that nothing has its own power and power cannot be created, the power comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, when we say omnipotent, omni means everywhere, all over. Potent means powerful. The one that is all powerful. Omnipotent, it's just another word for all powerful. Because without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power, nothing would have been able to come into existence. Everything, there's a possible, everything in creation comes from a state of non-existence. And it waits for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command of kun, be, and then only it comes into existence. So we are, in fact, some of the scholars refer to creation as a possibility. We can or we cannot exist. It depends on Allah whether Allah wants to create us. So possibility is something that defines the human being. Now, I don't want to go much further than that for now, because I wanted to switch over to the other part of Qudra. When we talk about, let me just put it up like this. Otherwise, we see everything coming up at the same time. The first point, I think, is fairly obvious. When we say emulate, Emulate means to copy, to try and do things the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does it. Any one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifat must be treated as something that sets an example to us. Just sorry about this. Just close this here. I can hear everything. Yes. Nothing has its own power. So if you say nothing has its own power, then we must try and understand and apply that to everything. Not only that Allah has all power and we make the statement, but when we come and we get up in the morning, for example, you get up in the morning, you get up as if you have power. Don't we do that? Don't we get up in the morning and we assume we've got the power? We don't realize that that very power to breathe and even to get up comes directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We take that so for granted. There's so many things that are clear reminders about the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is the one point. But in emulating this quality, this is the other aspect of power. Power can also refer to authority. I am in charge. I am in control. We're talking in a worldly environment now. Now, if we look at this aspect, that Allah is the one who is in total authority and control of the entire universe, we're supposed to emulate and copy the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our everyday lives. But how miserably far do we fall short when it comes to exercising power when we are placed in authority? I'm not referring to you now directly, Muhammad Farid, but you may be a teacher or a principal at the school, and not everyone does it, but then you behave in a way as if, sure, you have all the power to make things happen, and it's almost like a license to do what you want to do. Often we also find that when people have uniforms on, not everyone, but if you look at, for example, the police, the army, even the people who stand at the supermarket who allows only 50 people to go in at the time, the way they treat you, one would say they own the store or they own the country, the way they behave. Now that's other people. Point the finger to yourself. Point the finger to yourself and look at how do you as a person behave when you are in charge and when you are given power or authority to do certain things. Don't we often behave as if that power belongs to us? Don't we often behave in an arrogant way? And we want people to be subservient. In Afrikaans sê hulle onderdanig. Hulle moet onderdanig wees as jy in charge is. In fact, unfortunately, it even applies to some of the ulama that when they are standing in front and they are doing whatever they're doing, then they do it with so much arrogance and conceit that everyone notices that except the person who is doing it. So let it be a reminder to all of us. When we see it in other people, let it be a reminder to us never to fall in that trap ourselves. And let us always examine when we are given positions of power or authority, that we never fall in the trap to belittle or mistreat other people. And that starts right from the person that comes and collects your dirt, the way you interact with him, or the person who comes and asks for a piece of bread, or the person who is the domestic worker at your home. Let us treat people in a way that we would feel proud to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we've not tried to take what doesn't belong to us, because power and control belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, before I go off onto the next sifat, which is the sifat of Iradah, will, before I ask if there's anyone who would like to get me to clarify more about any of the things that I've said so far, I just want to say on the issue of power belonging to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and understanding, that's one of the sifat, one of the three linked sifat. The other one that's linked to power is the one that we will be dealing with next, and that is will. And then thereafter knowledge. Those are the three linked sifat. So we must understand the question correctly. If we understand the issue of power correctly and the other two sifat, then with very little effort, the whole understanding of how predestination, qada and qadar works, will become a lot easier to understand. So I want to just pause for now and ask if there are any comments or questions or clarity that anyone, and I do want to say, we encourage the other people who have not asked any questions thus far to please, it makes it a lot more interesting for everyone if people participate in the question and answer session. So I'm going to throw it open to the floor and find out if there's any comments or questions that people would like to pose at the stage.
Okay.
Let's hear.
Yeah.
I can hear.
With the Salie, I just want to it's not a
You broke up there for a while, Imam Hussein.
I just want to add from the Creator, who is the absolute bestower of power and honor and grace. You know, they take on that qualities like it is theirs. It's their own, and it's from them, and they'll even brag about it. This is as far as the ignorance and misunderstanding in the whole matter goes. Shukran. Just a remark.
Yeah, no, we take the point, and we're not pointing to anyone. We're pointing to ourselves in particular, that we should learn from it when we see it in others. That is extremely dangerous, because you actually what you are doing in the process, you're actually taking for yourself what belongs to our Rabb. You're stealing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what you're doing. You can never get away with it. Sounds very blunt when one puts it like that. You're stealing from Allah if you claim authority, power, or position for yourself, because that belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you do it, like Imam has reminded us now, then you are actually taking what belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, Amina?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Ik mag niet commentaar leveren. Ik moet maar net sê, ik mag nog net gedink, treat people as you would like people to treat you. Manie nou gepraat het nou van die mense is.
Yeah. In fact, if we go into the subject of Tawhid, then the purpose of it is not only to gain knowledge. We should become better people. And by how do we become better people? One of the fast tracks of becoming better people is to be good towards others, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim, whether they are pious people or not. If we are generally kind and good to other people, then that is a very, very quick way of making progress on this path. So yes, shukran Amina for that reminder. Are there any other comments or questions?
Yes, Manie. I'm struggling to find closure with this topic, because I understand the beginning, I understand the middle, but I feel that I'm not myself not finding a closure, a strong foundation where we can inculcate that taqwa that's needed to have, so that we not abuse our power. So that closely related, maybe in some way, maybe Imam can help with this. Is it a sort of shirk that you might abuse your power? So you've been put in power and leadership, and then you belittle others, you do not treat them as the way you should be treated, and you then abuse that power that Allah has given you. And Manie said it beautifully, that how short are we in displaying our authority, and how short we are when Allah gives us that little bit of power, even though we have absolutely nothing, but Allah gives us the ability to do something, and then we abuse that. So clearly we can see here the distinction between creation and the creator, subhanallah, and how merciful he is when displaying his power. But finding that, I'm struggling to find that closure, that how we can not abuse our power, how we cannot abuse our authority in terms of power, and knowing strong foundation that everything is from Allah and it can be taken away from you immediately.
Yeah, it's Muhammad Farid, there's no shortcut. The path of trying to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not an easy path. If it was an easy path, the whole dunya would be full of pious people. If you look around, the amount of pious people are far less than the ones who are not good. So this is a path that's not easy. You actually have to develop almost like warning signals, early warning signals in your environment. So if you're going to go to a meeting, for example, you're a teacher. To use your example, you're a teacher. So when you go, before you enter the class, at the practical level, whatever du'as or other things you are going to do, but at the practical level, you remind yourself that you are in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's service. or you would like to be in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's service. And that Allah must, and you ask Allah to guide you and assist you, that you never take what does not belong to you. Till it becomes second nature, that wherever you find yourself, where you have been given positions of authority or placed in charge, that you never do it with arrogance, and you never let other people feel that you're doing them a favor, that you're actually doing things to be of service. But it takes effort to develop those kinds of qualities, and you don't reach a point ever where once you have it, you have it. It has to be something that you watch all the time, because this is one of the areas where the nafs plays absolute havoc. It's one of the areas where the nafs will use, because it's in charge now, and it will use that as a means of trying to sidetrack you, and if you're not on the lookout, it doesn't matter what your level of piety is, what rank you are at, the nafs will always try. Of course, it fails with the people who are more steadfast, but we have to get into that stage where we never begin to give into our nafs by abusing power and authority. But it's a constant struggle. It's an ongoing battle right till the end. Before we continue, I'm going to allow you now, but I think I want to suggest we just lock out and come back in, because I see the time is going to expire any minute now. So can we agree we're going to end, and we will come back immediately after this, inshallah. Okay?
Inshallah. Interval.
No popcorn.